Hey Joey, September has ended, October has come, which means that we're in the fourth quarter of the year, which means that the third quarter is over, which means we've got third quarter stats and an October TBR. So I am a stats girly at heart, so I did some looking around at my Goodreads, my Storygraph, my spreadsheets, and I come to you with end of quarter three stats. As of the 30th of September, I have read 150 books this year. 64 books read in this quarter, so July, August, September. During this quarter, I completed my Goodreads goal, which was 125 books. Those 64 books equal out to 23,889 pages, which is an unbelievable number when put together. But I have two more unbelievable numbers because that's 6,679,725 words, at least according to howlongtoread.com, that tells me how many words are in each book, or a rough calculation if they don't have that information for me. But 6 million is still a lot. And then the one that blew me away the most, it's 10 hours, 10 days, 13 minutes, and 16 seconds of audiobooks, which is only the amount of the audiobooks I actually listen to, not like how much audio the 64 books would be. I read those books, 6 of them in hardcover, 21 of them in paperback, 12 of them on ebooks, 20 audiobooks, and then 4 in more than one format. So paperback, ebook, or paperback, audiobook, and so on. It was 33 romances, 15 fantasies, 6 mystery thrillers, 3 nonfictions, 2 sci-fi dystopians, and 1 general fiction. So kind of all over the gambit, but mostly romance. Who's surprised? Those books were written by 41 different authors. So 41 of 64 feels pretty good. I thought that I was reading books all by the same authors, like the same 10, but at my mid-year check-in that I did in my reading journal, I had kind of realized that, and so I did make a mid-year goal to read more new-to-me authors, which of the 41 authors of whose books I read in this third quarter of the year, 20 of them were new to me. So, goal achieved. I had an average of a 4.4 star rating. I rate books highly, but we did have a range of from 5 stars to 2 stars. So I rated all along the spectrum, but I rate all of my books rather highly. Almost all of them I rate 4 or above. So at that same mid-year check-in in my book journal, I made an end-of-year goal of mine to only have 25% of my shelves be unread. So have read 75% of my physical TBR. And I am doing much better in this third quarter than I was in the first half of the year reading books that I physically own. However, I also have purchased a lot of books. So right now we're sitting at 31.9% of my physical TBR is unread. So I definitely have my work cut out for me. That's like about 30 books that I would need to read off of my physical TBR, assuming I don't acquire any more new books, which I will acquire new books, so the number is going to fluctuate, but working on that. Going into this fourth quarter, I'm hoping to honestly read a little bit less. I went a little crazy over kind of summer months. I read 25 books in September, and that was a lot. I also know that in these sort of like end of fall, beginning of winter months, I read a lot more fantasy, and so I'm going to probably read a lot more pages, but fewer books. So I'm not pushing to read as much as I did in these last couple months where I was reading a lot of romance, knowing that I'm going to be reading a fair bit of fantasy. I also am really going to try and get down to that 25% unread mark. And I'm hoping to just finish out the year with good reads that I am enjoying. Because I've made my Goodreads goal. I've read a bunch of books. I'm not trying to push or strive. I'm just trying to have fun reading because I like reading. That's the goal for the end of the year. Is just continue to enjoy what I'm reading. With the stats portion of this video wrapped up, let's get into the October TBR. The October TBR comes to you in 4 parts. The first part is mystery, shivers kind of vibes, starting with Gone Girl. I do not know what this is about. I do not want to know what it is about. I know that it is a mystery. I know that it was good enough or popular enough that they made it a movie. And I know that I got this copy of it for $3 at the Half Price Books. And now is the perfect time to get it off my physical TBR. So that is on the list. And then God of the Woods, which was my book of the month pick 2 months ago, I want to say, and is really popular on the internet right now. But I have learned that this is not a thriller per se. It is more of a mystery. So I'm glad that I know that going into this. But again, I also, other than knowing that it's sort of about a missing kid at a summer camp, and that the name evokes folklore vibes to me, folklore like actual folklore, not like Taylor Swift folklore, and that I like both of those things, and I hope it gives me the shivers. Part 2 is YA fantasy. Love a good fantasy book in the fall, and all the ones that I picked out happen to be YA, starting out with Bloodlines and The Golden Lily, the first 2 books in the Bloodline series. I do intend to make a spoiler reading vlog of these, and I'm excited to start them, but not quite yet, because I just finished Vampire Academy, and I need a little bit more time away before I get into those, but they are on the TBR, just those 2 for this month, because I also read Vampire Academy a little too fast, but I also audiobooked it, and I'm going to have to read those with my eyeballs, and so I know it's going to take a little bit longer. So just those 2. Then my book club pick, Small Favors. Admittedly, I do not remember what this is about. I know that they told me what it was about when we picked it, but I don't remember. But I'm excited to read it, and I found it in the fantasy section, which leads me to believe that it is fantasy. And then finally, Immortal Dark, which all I know about this is that there are vampires, and there's a school, and her sister was kidnapped. And all of those things feel like October to me. And this braided to say no soul can enter without an invitation, which feels very ooky spooky. So on the October TBR, it goes. The third category is emotional devastation. Because were these on my September TBR? Yes. Did I finish reading them? No. Because I made it 122 pages into Saving 6, and every time I think about cracking it open, I start to tear up. Has anything sad happened yet? No. But am I so concerned about these characters? Like they're real life people who I need to protect with my body and soul? Yes. And so someday it'll be a nice October day and I won't have anything going on and it'll be kind of overcast or rainy and I'll be wanting a good cry and I'll read Saving 6. And then based on how Binding 13 ended, I assume that Saving 6 will end with some sort of cliffhanger where I need to pick up Redeeming 6 immediately. Does the size of this scare me a little? Yes, but I read Kingdom of Ash, I can do anything. And then our fourth and final category is a little lighter. It's romance. Starting out with the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Had a pumpkin spice latte today. There's a little kitty on the cover. And I know that there's going to be a romance in here and that there's going to be a cafe. And I love both of those things. So excited to read that. Then The Dead Romantics. This is a romance book and there are ghosts. That's all I need to know. It's going on the October TBR. I also love Ashley Poston's books and reading books that I just acquired and not books that have been on my shelves forever. This last one was also on the September TBR, but it also is thematically appropriate for October, and that would be Daydream by Hannah Grace, because hockey season opens this week, and preseason's going on right now. Go Devils. Henry's a hockey player, and Hallie works with books, and that gives fall. She's a folklore Taylor Swift girly, which also is fall, and so this is on the TBR. I should have read it in September. However, I was getting too many opinions about it from outside sources, both positive and negative, and so I was nervous to read it, and I didn't. But now I'm gonna. So those are quarter 3 stats, October TBR. Have a beautiful day.